Hey guys, how you doing? What you doing? We know what you're doing. We know what you're doing. You're either gonna watch me or you're gonna watch what's over here or what's down there. Whatever. Watch me. Okay? Just give me a chance. You know? I mean, you see the title. It's about Hourglass and whatever. Give me a shot. And if you like me, you can subscribe. If not, don't. I mean, I can't force you, Shh. Phone. No. Have a good beginning. We're all gonna ignore that and pretend that never happened. I'm a professional. So today, like the title says, we're going over the Hourglass Airbrush Concealer and the Hourglass Vanish Stick Foundation. Now, the stick foundation is not new. It's not new. It's not new to me anymore. I've used it several times. I wanted to give a good opinion of it. And the concealer is relatively new. I've used it a few times. I know how I feel about it, and I'm about to tell you. I'm about to show you how I apply it. So why don't we just get into it? We can see things look a little different. We're a little more zoomed in. We see a little more of my workspace. We'll see how I work. I am in a very tiny room with a giant table, and there's not much room for the table to go, so you're gonna see it. And that's just how life is right now until I can afford a new table. So the Vanish Stick Foundation actually came with some instructions. It says, formula is highly concentrated. Only a small amount is needed. Start with less and blend. Gradually add more as necessary. For best results, blend foundation with Vanish foundation brush, which I don't have. Lightly dot foundation on each cheek, forehead, and chin. Using the brush, blend foundation in a light sweeping motion all over face for a seamless finish. For additional coverage, add more foundation and blend. So, I don't have that brush. I have the Blenderful. And that has worked just fine. It has worked great, actually. For everything I've needed it to. Alright, so what I do with this, and it's a pretty good shade match, what I have learned from Robert Welsh, and I'll be talking about him a lot in this video because he just released his in-depth concealer video that I am obsessed with, because I could never figure out why my concealer was always creasy and dry and gross, and we'll get into that. So we start with the middle and blend out. That's what he suggests. So I'm going to start with my nose. I'm going to dot all around. And we're gonna blend out. So, I'm gonna sit my mirror down carefully so I don't hurt headphone users. I'm gonna take my Blenderful and I'm going to start at my nose and do the pat swipe that I had been talking about in my review video. And I didn't add a whole bunch of foundation, so it's not gonna add too much coverage because I don't really need to have all that coverage today. I'm gonna blend up at my forehead. Pat swiping still. And it says to keep this away from your eyes. So I usually put foundation on my eyes. I guess I'm lazy like that, but today and with this foundation I'm not, because it specifically says keep out of eye area, and this blends like a dream. It's kind to my nose. Yep. Missed a spot on my forehead. Now under the harsh ring light it doesn't look that great, but with this under normal lighting, it looks fantastic. You're not always going to be under a ring light. That's just how it is. Like if you're working with a ring light and you're going to try to make your foundation look perfect, you're going to have a bad time. That's just how it's going to be. Your foundation's not going to look perfect. No matter what you do under a ring light like this. Like I have the Juno & Co. ring light mirror right here. And you're just not going to get it to look perfect. Because it's really harsh light. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Alright. Get my scars. Have a few. And then what I like to do with this foundation, since it's a stick foundation, I like to do a setting spray. It is, this foundation does have a learning curve, I will say. It does take a little bit to get used to. The coverage, the feel, it's very thick. It's not like anything I've used before. And then I'll just pat all that setting spray in. My hair is going flyaway, so you'll have to ignore that too. So, and hopefully I have a good blend right now. Pulling out one of my little dark baby hairs. Alright, let's check it out with this mirror. Okay. Under this mirror, with this mirror, it looks really good. And I'm hoping on camera it looks really good too. So I think we're going to move ahead with the Hourglass, what's it called? Airbrush concealer. I have the shade Silk. It is a little bit light, but I will show you the new technique that I have been using. It's from Robert Welsh, and it has saved me a ton of headache, a ton of product, a ton of creasing. So he does great. Now it's just like out of my head. My video is gonna cut off anyway. Alright, so I believe he does 2 dots right here and 1 here. And he usually uses like a brush, but I can never get a good blend with a brush, so I'm just going to use the little heart thing from Blendiful. And he just blends it out and then over. Not as close to the eye. My entire problem with concealer has been I have been following all of the young YouTubers, and I'm over 30, and you can't do that when you're over 30. I was applying concealer in the big triangle, I was baking, I was doing all that, and you reach a certain age and you can't do that anymore. So again, we do, well, that is a big dot, so we'll just leave it there, and then 1 dot over here. That was a very strange sound, and I apologize, but it was this. And again, I'm going to go in with the concealer. And blend it. And blend it over. I'm going over my eyelids. I'm sorry, Robert. He does not like concealer as a primer for eyelids. And then you just blend like you would your normal concealer, and that's it. So let's take a look at these dark circles. This finish is, I would say, pretty radiant. I have very dry skin, So it does great in my under eye circles. Not too not too dry, not cakey, nothing like that. And honestly, it's a seamless blend. Yeah, seamless blend. It was just that easy. So with this foundation, I don't powder. And I'll give you one reason why. It doesn't need it. For me, it doesn't need it for me. I'd say that it feels pretty luminous, but not too dewy, you know. Like I can touch and feel that there's foundation, but it doesn't like move around my face, stuff like that. It doesn't get on, you know, my son if I rest my head on his little head, stuff like that. I have never tried powdering it before, but I don't think it needs it for me, to be honest. I have dry to normal skin, and the finish I think is absolutely perfect. So I think, how about we try? Let's try to powder it just a little and see how that goes. This is the first time I have powdered this foundation. And do I use my Blendiful for powder? I don't know. Don't know what I want to do. Let's use my Blendiful and just lightly tap. Slightly bouncing it. Focusing on my nose, and my chin, and my forehead. I'm treating this Blendiful like I would a puff, and I mean it looks alright. It lifted a little bit of my foundation on my forehead, but that's normal for when I powder. It didn't lift it from my nose, which is what I usually get when I try to powder my nose. That is all the powder I'm going to apply. Actually, I have some Hourglass powder that I think I can apply if I can get to it. Hello? Hourglass? Can I feel you? Ha! I could do it by touch. Alright, so I have the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit Ghost unlocked, and you can see it's well loved. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Blendiful and go into the lightest powder. And I'm just going to powder a little bit under my eyes. A little bit. A little. I'm not baking. I don't bake anymore. This is a very luminous powder, so I like it for my under eyes. And there we go. I think that's pretty good. Let's see. My forehead is still a little cakey from the powder that I applied earlier, and I think if I had to choose, I would apply the Hourglass powder only under my eyes, just for a little bit of highlight, just so like the light bounces off nicely, you know. I love the ambient lighting powders. I don't know what, it's a finishing powder, soft light. I love it so much. Let's see. What would I rate the foundation? So if I'm comparing it to my old one, which is the Fenty Pro Filter Hydrating Foundation, this one has a lot more coverage. It's a little more finicky, but it stays on a lot better than my Fenty. I don't have to powder it. I do have to powder the Fenty. And which one would I choose? I think it would be I think it would depend on what I'm doing that day. If it's really hot outside and stuff like that, I might choose the stick foundation and powder it a little, because the hydrating foundation, I'm looking over here, I'm looking at it. I don't, you guys can't see it. I keep looking at it when I'm talking about it. Like, I would not wear the Fenty Pro Filter Hydrating in the summer because it's very slippy. And I have to powder it so much. And I'm hoping that this looks as good as I think it does. Because, I mean, I think it looks pretty good, except, like, I mean, the cakey on my forehead a little bit, which I'm going to do a little more setting spray. That's what I do when I get a little cakey, and then, oh, pressing my hair into it. There we go. So I would say that I give the Hourglass Vanish Stick Foundation a 7 out of 10, and the concealer I would give a 9 out of 10 because it is so easy to work with. The finish is amazing. I love it so much. And I'm about to be cut off. Alright, and I finished my look after my camera cut me off, and I added a wig. I wanted to see how this one looked, and I love it. It reminds me of my old hair, which I'm gonna try to get to maybe someday. But this is the finished look with the Hourglass foundation. And let's see how it's held up over the last, let's say it's been an hour, and it has held up pretty well. I've been on the phone, all that stuff. I've messed with the wig and everything like that, and it still looks good. The concealer is amazing. There's no creasing at all. I love it. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all you guys. I'm sorry for the weird random wig, but I got a whim and I just wanted to put one on and see how it looked with the eye look that I did. And I wanted to thank you guys so much for subscribing. I hit 60 subscribers. I now have 63. I am just so thankful for everyone for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it, and I hope everyone is doing all right with everything that's going on. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, give it a like down below. If you didn't, give it a dislike, and leave me a comment and let me know what kind of content you would like to see, because I can't know if people don't let me know. Like, how can I know what content you want to see? So just let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of you guys.